Hello everyone, this is Ashish again, and today we will be continuing our discussion on PowerShell basics. So far we have discussed the variable and alias, pipeline concept, and then we have also discussed in the concept of object oriented scripting and the PowerShell in the beginning of this module. So now we will be continuing our session on arrays and hash table and then operators. I will try to complete these two topics. These sessions, PowerShell basics session as well as the upcoming sessions on remoting, error handling would be a little bit explained, and I will be covering less topic in each videos so that I will try to explain each and every aspect as of now I know about that particular topic, because these are the basic construct of your PowerShell scripting. So these are the day-to-day useful concept which you will be using a lot. So that's why it will be explained topic instead of covering all the things in a 30 minutes video. I would prefer to explain one topic in 30 minutes so that I can explore all the options, all the perspective of that particular concept. So let's start the arrays and hash table. Let's go back to our presentation. So we have discussed the variables and then environment variable. We have discussed the basic environment variable we use, like error variable and other environment variable. Now let's continue with our arrays and hash table. So what is array and what is hash table and how we use it in PowerShell and so forth. So let's continue. Okay, so before we continue about PowerShell array, let's discuss what exactly an array is. So array is if you go ahead and define it, then I would define it's a indexed collection of things, of object actually, because in PowerShell everything is an object. So array is an collection, so it would be a collection. Array is an indexed collection. So indexed collection means that there will be an index which will be tracking all the object in the collection. So let's try to go ahead and see what array variable looks like. Okay, so let's name it array. You can name it anything. Let's name it my array. Okay, so my array, okay, is equals to, now you will use @ symbol, then braces, and then within this you will have elements of your array. So let's suppose you have elements of name like Ashish, okay, then comma, then you can have any other name. Let's name it Raj, then comma, then you can have another name, it can be Sumit. Okay, so let's suppose I have three things, 1, 2 and 3 things, and collection of these three things, and which is indexed. So what I mean by index, that this is the first element, this is the second element, and this is the third element. Now this element has 0 index, so it is 0. Raj has 1 index, second element, but index is 1. So array starts from 0, its index starts from 0 and then it goes on. So 0, 1, 2, that's how it works. So let's go ahead and let's try to print out. Okay, let's try to print this thing. If I want to print the value of Raj, okay, so I will say index 1. Okay, so if I will run it, it should print Raj. See that? So that's how you use an array. You declare an array using this format. Okay, and you will have elements within this particular braces, and each element will be separated by a comma. So this is how your array, if you have another value, then you will just comma, then enter the value. That is something else. Yeah, Ali, whatever you want to type in. So that's how it works. Okay, so this is array. Now the things you need to remember is about array, that it's an indexed value. So this is the first thing, is it has index, okay, and which starts from 0, 0, 1, 2 and so on, and collection. Okay. So let's go back, and okay, so this is how you, okay, so index collection is index collection of objects. Okay, let's go back to our discussion on hash table. What is hash table? Now hash table, if we go ahead and say in a very simple manner, hash table is a key value pair. Okay, so there are in data types, there are few data types which commonly known as key value pair data types. So key value pair data types are there are few data types which are known as key value pair. I mean, they have a category, I would say, and why they are called key value pair, I will explain that. And hash table is one of them. So there are other key value pair as well, known as dictionary, and some other programming language will have some other key value pair as well. But in PowerShell we have hash table is one of the very commonly used key value pair data type. Now what I mean by key value pair is that if you will have key value pair data type collection, okay, so it is also in collection, just like index, just like array, but in this collection, instead of having values only, you will have a key as well. So there will be a key, there will be a value associated with that key, and that is how you define a key value pair. So in case of array, you are defining only the value, right? And depending upon the value position, the index was being defined automatically. So you are not saying that index 1 is Ashish. I mean, index 1 is something, right? Here Ashish is index 0 and then Raj is index 1. So you are just defining the value and index is already there. Now if you want to retrieve the value, you will have to type in the inbuilt index, I mean, which is already defined. If you want to have a custom index, if you want to have something which you can use specifically to just have some readable format, like instead of 0, if I would want to say that no, 0 does not make sense, I would say first name, because this is the array of my name. The first element is first name and the last element or the second element is the last name. So instead of 0 and 1, I want to get the values depending upon these inputs. 0 and 1 does not make sense. So do I have that privilege when I am using array? No, it is, I mean, you cannot define your index or something which is tracking your values. So if you want to track your values, if you want to call your values with a custom key, there is something which is called key value pair, and that is hash table. So hash table is a key value pair data type. Now how you define a hash table? So you will name a variable like my hash table okay, is equals to, now the for hash table as well, it will start with at, but instead of braces, you will have curly braces. So curved braces, instead of curved braces you will have curly braces. Okay, so this is how you will define a hash table. Now within hash table, as I said, instead of only value there will be a key as well. So instead of this, so let's first remove this thing. This is 1, this is 0. Now instead of this, first I will define the key. So my key is first name, okay, and the value it has is sheesh, okay, and then I will separate it with semicolon. Instead of comma it will be semicolon. Then the other key is last name, then equals to sign, then its value, that's Raj. Now if you want to retrieve the values from hash table now, so in a similar manner you will say my hash table. Now instead of 0, 1, now I have the key with my name as well, first name, and dollar is last name. So if I want to print values now, then for 0, 1, okay, for array I will be using 0 and 1, which is absolutely not very much readable, but instead of hash table I will be having my key name, and key name is also something I have defined. Okay, so let's try to print it. It will print the same thing, but in the code they looks different, right? And the hash table is more readable. Yes, hash table has its own uses, array has its own uses, but that's how you use it. And the main advantage hash table has is its key name. So where there is something which is some, I mean, where you have the requirement where you will be having your own custom column name or you know the key name, there you might think of using hash table instead of any other data type. So that's how arrays and hash table works. And this is, you know, this is a very hash table and arrays are very much useful in any scripting, in PowerShell at least. I mean, if you will go through any PowerShell script there on gallery, I mean PowerShell gallery, or maybe someone has developed that script for you, or maybe there is a script which is already there with a particular tool set, maybe SharePoint or something, you must be having these syntax over there, and you must be familiar with these syntax so that you can, you know, you can understand what those values are and how they are getting used there, so that you can customize them as per your requirement, as per your environment. So these things are very important topics, I would say, arrays and hash table. If you have any question, if you have any query, please post it there on YouTube or maybe on SlideShare, wherever you want to. Just, you know, if you have anything you want me to discuss about in upcoming videos, right? So this is arrays and hash table, and arrays and hash table are very useful in any PowerShell script. And mostly arrays and I mean hash table will be used in most of the data retrieving script, like if you are retrieving information from WMI classes, if you are retrieving information from SQL database, or I mean and then the data is coming but the column name is something else, then you will be using hash table to change the column name or change the key name, which is more user readable, which is more you know, friendly to the client where you will be presenting your data. I mean we will be going through few script where I will be using a hash table, and then you will be able to see how useful it is to know this concept, right? So let's go to the next slide. Now this is operators in PowerShell. Now just like variables and data types, we have operators in PowerShell, and it is equally important to know this concept as well. If you are coming from a programming background, if you have done little bit of programming in C, C++ or Java, or maybe .NET, or maybe any other language, you must know that these are the basic construct of any programming language. So if you are doing programming, these are the basic pillars which helps you to exploit as much you want the PowerShell script or the programming language as much you want actually. So okay, constructing your data type, constructing your classes, all these things depends on these basic pillars, right? So variable, you should know how to define a variable, what are the options there, right? And then there are data types, what are the options there for data types, and then we are coming to the operators, right? So after operator we have other things as well, like loops, conditional execution and things like that. So let's continue operators first, then we will going through all these basic construct, and I am keep telling that these basic construct are very important if you are really wanted to be a true scripter or true programmer in real sense. Sorry, who will be developing the tool set actually, not just scripts, they are tools. I mean, they are using full-fledged .NET architecture behind the scene without exposing much things to the scripter, but still you are using them, so let's go back to the operators. So just like operators, we have these common arithmetic operators, and so let's go back like here. Yeah, I mean, these are the basic operators, like for some you have plus, negative, divide, then this is mod. You all must be aware of all these three things, but if you are not coming from programming background, then you might not know this one. This is known as mod operator. So let me just briefly go through it, right? So if you say 3 divided by 2, then it gives you the instead of 3, let's 4 divided by 2. So it will give you the quotient, like 4 divided by 2 will give quotient 2. So if I will say $q is equals to 4 divided by 2. So let's remove everything, and if I will print this one, so it will print 2 actually, right? 2, right? Now let's, instead of divide, let's print mod. So let's try that. Instead of q, I will say r, and I will say r. So this is giving 0. So what is 0? 0 is actually remainder. So this particular operator gives you remainder instead of quotient. So that's the that's the difference actually. So there are scenarios where you, instead of getting quotient, you will be needing the remainder actually after dividing after dividing the two mathematical expression, or two numerical values, right? So this is the mod. Then now we have comparison operators. So there is little bit of difference in comparison operator. If you are coming from a programming background, if you have done programming, then you must be you must be familiar with these comparison operators, greater than, equals to, or less than, equals to, not equal to, right? So so these are the operators you use for comparing two things. Like suppose you have two variables, say var1, okay, and then you have var2, okay. Now let's do, so let's sign value actually, where 1 is equals to 3, where 2 is equals to 5. Okay, and let's do one thing, that we want to compare these two values, you know. So basic comparison is like if where 1 is equals to, so now this is not the way you compare, you will compare this way, equals to, okay, where 2. In a similar way, if you want to compare less than, so you have LE, okay, or greater than GE, not equal NE. So that's how you compare values in PowerShell, right? So this is the difference in comparison operator in PowerShell. Okay, so we need these comparison operator whenever we want to compare or we want to check a particular condition, like this, whether this variable is equals to this variable, whether this value is equals to that value, whether this type is equals to that type. So things like that happens when you write a script. You will have a situation like you will be comparing these two things. So that's how you compare using the comparison operator, and that's how you have the comparison operator. Okay, now then we have wildcard and regex. Now let's discuss a little bit about wildcard and regex. Regex is regular expression. So if you know wildcard everyone does, and wildcard search is very common in programming as well as in system administration. So you must be, if you want to search all the users in Active Directory, then you probably use star there, or you might be running a query in SQL that where you say select star from this table. So star is all, right? So star is all, and that's a wildcard search actually, where you will, so that's how you search in your existing programming or existing tool sets, and that's the similar way in PowerShell as well it's work. I mean, if you want to do a wildcard search, like let's do actually, instead of discussing, let's name first name, or instead of first name, let's do one thing, get service, okay, name, and then instead of giving the complete name, what I want is whatever start with A. Whatever start with A. If I will say only A, it will not give anything. Let's do. It should not give, right? But if I will do A star, and let's try, you will get everything, like that, right? So this is a wildcard search actually, A star, whatever starts with A, or instead of that I would say star A. So whatever ends with A, star means everything which ends with this particular thing. In the end it should have A. So if I do this, you will have only two values which is having A in the end. So this is how you do the wildcard search. Now how you will be using the operators for these wildcard, let's do one thing. Let's say I have a variable $first name. I have asked someone to enter his first name, and he entered Sheesh. Okay, and I want to check whether the first name starts with A or not. Yeah, so I would say if, we still need to discuss the if else condition, which is just after this, I mean conditional execution, but you know this, if where first name, okay, just for the time being you just see this, if first name is like, right, and then I will say my wildcard that stayed with A and star. if it starts with A, okay, then it would go in this section, else it would go into this section. Okay, so in this section I am printing write host, and I am saying your name starts with A, right? And if it does not qualifies, then I want to print your name do not start with A. Simple, right? Because I have already declared the value which starts with A, it should go inside this. Let's try that. Let's run it. Yeah. So your name starts with A. Instead of A, let's remove this one. Yeah. So let's do this. Your name do not start with A, right? So that's how you do the wildcard search using like, and in a similar fashion it will work for other wildcard search like not like. Okay, so not like is something, you know, which will do the opposite. Like if is not like, then it will go inside this. So now it will print this one. Let's try this, right? Start with A, so it is going inside this. However, logic is not the right logic, but I'm just trying to use this not like instead of like. So that's how it works, right? So now let's go back to the regex. Regular expression are, you know, just like wildcard, you have a, you know, you have a much more powerful tool, which is regular expression, which is itself, you know, which itself is a very explained topic, and I recommend you to go through a regular expression tutorial over internet, so that you know what, you know, how to create regular expression. But in brief, I would say regular expression is a kind of expression, equation, I would say, or pattern, I would say. So instead of name, instead of content from something I search, something I want to search, like I said that start with A, right? I don't even know, you know, A actually. I just want the pattern, you know, pattern like it would be an email ID, or it would be a date, or it would be something like email ID has a pattern. It is a very good example of pattern, you know, regular expression, using a regular expression, right? So email ID will have something, okay, let's say something. An email ID will look like something, add the symbol, then something, then dot, and then something. Something is whether it will be com, or it will be in, or it will be US, or something, right? Something like that. So email ID will have this pattern actually. So there is a pattern which will qualify. I mean, you can build that pattern, and there is a detailed tutorial over internet. You can go ahead and try to build that, but I have, you know, already copied this pattern, and this is the pattern for an email ID actually. If I will copy it, and I will say email regex is equals to, let's $, and I would say this is a email ID pattern. Okay, now what I want is, I want someone to enter your email, okay, and I have assigned the value as a invalid email ID, suppose add, okay, that's the only thing, right? But it is not a valid email ID. It might be a valid if I will enter this or this or this, something like that, but this is not a valid email ID. But let's try to find out whether it is, I mean, whether it is able to detect that or not. If $your email is, okay, match. So match and no match is something related to regex. So match the pattern. The pattern is $email regex, right? So if it matches my pattern, which is a regular expression, then you should print it is a valid email ID. Okay, valid email. Now if it does not match, right, which is right now which is not matching, it should go inside this and say, boss, your mail ID is incorrect email, right? So if I will run it, let's see what does it. Incorrect email. Now let's make it correct. Okay, so if I will say this, right, so this is when I would recommend you to go through how to build this pattern for different things. This is a very generic example. You must be seeing it on websites where you register for an account. Then if you enter by mistake incorrect format for mail ID, it instantly gives you a pop-up that please enter a incorrect mail ID, correct mail ID. So which is being checked by the UI using JavaScript maybe or something else, using regular expression, because most of the pattern check happens using regular expression in most of the programs. So this is a very useful tool in any programming language. So this is it. Now there is logical operator and bitwise. Bitwise operators are there and they are used, but rarely we use from the basics point of view, but we use it for logical operator. Okay, so logical operators are, we'll go through it. Now I think it is 33. Let's give 2 or 3 minutes more so that we can complete this one, and we will continue on conditional execution on the later video. So logical operator is just like checking the logic actually. So if you go through it, yeah, so if your match, now instead of this I want so variable 1 dollar $var1 is equals to, let's say, 3, okay, and then dollar $var2 is equals to 4. Okay, now I want if bracket dollar $var1 is equal to $var1 is equals to suppose 2. Okay, now let's do one thing there. Or means, or I mean there, and means both statements should match, and or means one of them should match. So I am giving another option for this expression, that var2 is equals to 4. So if any one of these condition will match, then it will go inside this, and if not, then it will go to else. Oops. And it will say like you can say that write host let's just make it simple, 2 or 4. That means either 2 or 4. Write host neither 2 nor 4. Yeah, so let's try this and let's see where, right, 2 or 4. So let's make it different. Instead of 4, let's make it 5. So let's see, neither 2 or 4. So that's how you use the comparison operator, like and will say that both should match, right? This should be 2 and this should be 4. Then only go to 2 or 2 and 4 instead of 2 and 4. If both are not matching, then it will go neither 2 nor 4, right? So let's see, right, neither 2 nor 4. And now let's make them 2 and 4. So both are, both conditions are matching now, so it should go inside this. Let's see, 2 and 4, right? So that's how you use and or. Go ahead, if you have not used the logical operator or comparison operators, do little bit of combination, and you will be using these things a lot. I must tell you, these are the basic construct. I must, I'm stressing on this multiple times, that these topics are very much important as far as daily PowerShell execution is concerned. If you are using PowerShell on daily basis, these construct will actually help you to understand how PowerShell actually works behind the scenes, so that you can use the experimental modules over GitHub. You can start writing things to use them, and if there is some issue, you can point it out on the community. So to get that level of confidence, you will have to have the understanding of basic construct or basic pillar of a programming language, and here that is PowerShell. So let's end this video for today. It's already 7 minutes up. I always try to make it less than 30 minutes, right, so that we can understand the concept very briefly. Okay, so okay, see you later. Keep commenting, keep liking, and let me know wherever if you want me to discuss a particular thing again, right? Thank you so much.